Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, ladies and lurkers, welcome. So, I wanted to talk about yet another cautionary tale of a role reversal wife who provided for her husband for the majority of her marriage, only to turn around and to have that husband predictably give her his disloyal, hypogamous behind to kiss. And that former husband is the woketivist blue-eyed actor Jesse Williams, 39, who most recently settled a 3-year-long, bitterly contested divorce saga with his now ex-wife Erin Drake Lee, 38, who is an accomplished real estate attorney slash art dealer and mother of two. Now, for those of you who've been following this story over at the Hypergamous Hive, Miss Erin Drake Lee was most recently able to successfully cash out and fare pretty well in her bitterly contested divorce settlement. And as it stands, Erin is set to receive the former couple's 3 homes and a whopping 40 grand a month in child support. And because I am a hypergamous woman to the bone, I personally believe that Erin should have at least negotiated some type of consistent alimony payment to supplement the loss of her womanhood during her 14-year relationship. And for those of you who are ear hustling and lurking, paying alimony is California law and is a benefit that a former wife is entitled to negotiate with her divorce attorneys as an option, because Erin well enough paid her marriage dues, and it is well within her right to no longer lowball herself and to no longer treat herself as low-hanging fruit, particularly because for the majority of her marriage, Erin Drake Lee was indeed the breadwinner. Now, for those of you who need a bit of a backstory, actor Jesse Williams, who is currently 39, and his former ex-wife Erin Drake Lee were together a total of 14 years and were married for 5 of those years, which means that Erin was with Jesse Williams a total of 9 years before he even married her. And Erin, who is again a real estate attorney and an art dealer, provided for her husband Jesse Williams and was the main breadwinner in her marriage before the fame and before the clout, and when her actor husband Jesse Williams was just essentially a good-looking nobody. And they eventually left the safe middle-class lifestyle that they created for themselves in New York, and they took the risk to move to Los Angeles, where Jesse could further his ambition of breaking into the acting world. And that risk paid off as he eventually landed a role as surgical resident Jackson Avery in the massively successful ABC hit series Grey's Anatomy, and the rest is history. So as soon as the couple were married in a private ceremony in Los Angeles in September of 2012, Erin very smartly and very wisely and very quickly popped out her 2 babies as Jesse's ascendancy and burgeoning career started to take off. But Jesse inevitably became a television sex symbol and a Hollywood hunk, and when the base foundation of a marriage isn't strong or sturdy or is based on the paradigm of role reversal, fame and all of the glaring spotlight that comes with it will be the nail in the relationship coffin. Now, when it comes to marriages, from the outside looking in, there will always be variables and X factors and privately missing details as to why a marriage has ended, eroded, or fully imploded. But there are many cautionary tales to learn from this divorce story, particularly if your goal is to be a provided for hypergamous woman. But I do not want to give off the impression that relationships and marriages, no matter the circumstances, hypergamy or hypogamy, are not a risk, because romantic relationships are a risk. But the chances of a marriage succeeding and being successful and remaining intact will always be much higher when the husband is the main provider and the breadwinner. And a marriage is usually most successful when a husband has the ability to demonstrate high levels of masculinity in his marriage, namely provision, providing, and protection. As role reversal is almost always a disaster in the making when women are the breadwinners. But to start, the number one lesson to repeatedly learn here, ladies, is to stop providing for a man, as it strips a woman of her femininity, and it also robs a man of his masculinity. And it will always create a toxic relationship dynamic where the wife will become the nagging mother or the back leader or the boss, and the husband will become the castrated and the regressive man-child. And men who are in romantic relationships where they are in their feminine and where they are being provided for, it will only be a matter of time before the husband or that man begins to bite and chew away at the hand that feeds him. Because that is the insidious nature of masculine resentment, as resentment will always want its pound of flesh for feeling emasculated and inadequate. Because being provided for by your woman is such a huge source of frustration and shame and embarrassment for a man, and secondhand embarrassment for a woman when a woman is playing the role of a masculine provider. So, ladies, stop trying to purchase a man's love and stop trying to purchase a man's loyalty, because men by nature are hardwired to only be loyal to their masculinity. And for those of you who say, well, then why does a man stay in a relationship if he's feeling emasculated? Because 10 times out of 10, a man is focused on his survival. And a man who is in survival mode will always need the security and the stability that a provider woman is willing to offer freely, and he will accept it without guilt because his needs are being met. And he will squeeze the juice out of your orange until there is nothing left, or until he is in a secure place to provide for the woman who will make him feel like a masculine man and who will make him forget that his tail was once tucked between his legs. The next lesson to learn from this cautionary tale is to always keep your feminine intact, whether married or single or dating, or whether you are in a starter marriage. Because a man is always watching to see the way that a woman carries herself. And this is especially true for my married listeners and ear hustlers who have dropped the ball of neglect on themselves when it comes to your looks. Because when a woman is in the mindset of elevating and investing in her feminine, she is signifying to her man that her worth is worthy of being nourished, invested in, and cherished. So, in other words, ladies, if you want a man to cherish you, then you must always be willing to do the very important work of cherishing yourself and never letting yourself go, as that is the best way to demonstrate self-love through the feminine principle. And the more that your husband begins to earn, the more a woman should invest into looking her feminine best, so that if your man begins to smell himself, that you can successfully cash out and date up. And another cautionary lesson to learn here is when a woman is the provider in her marriage, she is essentially in her masculine. And when a woman is in her masculine, she will look like the Aaron Drake Lees of the world. And while Aaron is nowhere near an unattractive woman, a woman who works her fingers to the bone is usually tired, exhausted, drained, depleted, completely out of her feminine, and is usually very unglamorous and just worn out from the consistent wear and tear that comes with having to earn a provider paycheck. And any woman who has to get up every day to commute to work, to keep a roof over her head, and to keep the lights on while she is supporting her husband's dreams will be a woman who will not look and feel her feminine best because of feminine neglect. And because she is in her masculine, she will not have the time to pamper or to nurture her feminine needs and her feminine divine, especially when the role of her marriage is that of a mule and a workhorse while being your husband's entire support system. Now, most women naively believe that a man will reward them with their hound dog loyalty because of her willingness to sacrifice, play fair, and of her ability to be dutiful and democratically fair in her marriage. But men are not wired like us, ladies, and they do not think like us, nor do they love like us. And as a golden rule, 50-50 marriages and role reversal marriages are the easiest to walk away from, because in your attempts to play fair and to be democratic, you in essence saved your husband the money that he will need to impress the woman that he really wants to be with. But if a man was never the dependent on provider in his relationship, he will always look outside of his marriage to restore his masculinity, especially in a role reversal marriage where he was essentially a kept boy, and where his inability to provide was either compromised, suffocated, or stifled. And this is especially true in a hypogamous dynamic, and this is especially true in role reversal and in situations where husbands are backled by their provider wives, or when they are shrinking in their provider wives' limelight. Overall, the smartest move that Aaron has made in this 14-year relationship is getting Messy Jessie to marry her, as she was able to successfully cash out quite nicely in her divorce rainbow come up. And while most role reversal women are not so lucky, Aaron did what most wives are supposed to do when husbands abandon their families. She moved in silence, and she made her anger expensive, and she allowed her lawyers and the court system to do the talking, while her now ex-husband Jesse Williams continued to sow his disrespectful Hollywood oats. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. When a woman takes the risk of building a man up or building him into who she wants him to be, she is opening herself up to the possibility of betrayal and abandonment and humiliation, because men who are boys will always get tired of the shrinking that comes with being provided for by mommy dearest. So to get this conversation started, did Messy Jesse do his ex-wife dirty, or did their marriage simply run its course? And does a husband owe loyalty to his wife's loyalty? Or is a Hollywood husband entitled to an upgrade? So, as always, I look forward to reading your comments below. And stay tuned for more cautionary tales to come. And I will catch up with you, ladies and lurkers, in the next one.